talk about before that, 2013 to 2017. So before that, when you started Sneakvibing, because you've been consistent for a decade.
It's crazy. You know what? And I'm gonna be honest with myself. I wouldn't say I've been consistent. I would say that I took certain steps. Okay. It was a really long. Even the fact that it took me 2013 to 2017 to really get there.
Yes.
You know.
Can you describe that process? Because you know, so many people, if they don't start seeing whatever it is that they're after, residuals, famous shout outs, anything, you know, they automatically, you know, give up. And the unique thing about Sneakvibing is that Sneakvibing came out at a time when Instagram didn't have videos, TikTok was not a thing, YouTube was not nearly as established as it is now. Right. So, you know, you really had to, you know, do this off the muscle, like really, you know, carry this up a hill. Now, you know, the last 5-6 years is, I would say, probably been easier than ever. So can you talk to us about, or can you describe that time and what it was like during like your grind and the things you learned from 2013 to 2017?
2013 to 2017 was about building my confidence and building up some of my skills as a writer. So I don't want to say, I want to be fully honest and transparent. I wasn't really consistent. It was me kind of going back and forth, like, can I do this? That's what it was. I don't think I found consistency. Even when I started and I did the pivot Sneakvibing to make it more of a public thing, because it was really a private thing. It was a private journal for me, like kind of sharing. I mean, people on WordPress could find it. I would share my articles like on social media and stuff, but it was really very small. Right? And it's still technically kind of small, even though it's larger on social media now, but the blog part is still pretty small. In my output, and then also in the fact that are a lot of people reading it? Not necessarily so. But from 2013 to 2017 was really about building up my confidence and kind of building me up as a writer, and building me up as not only a writer but also someone that is working in social settings. Because I think another thing that has gotten me this far is the fact that I've learned to channel my insecurities so that I don't, I guess, project that onto other people or try not to. And what I mean by that is, like I said earlier, I grew up in the church. And so I got to bring this up because this is a huge part of it too. So growing up in the church, specifically the black church, it's a different experience for everyone. For me, I think there was definitely some values that came from it, you know, community, loving people, putting people first. I think there's some things that are always going to stay with me. At the same time, there's a lot of things I definitely disagreed with. There's a lot of cultural parts of specifically black churches that it was a struggle for me, if I'm being fully honest. I'm always about being transparent. And so with that, I just never wanted to come off the way sometimes I would see people come off, just to keep it simple. And specifically, I would see these behaviors like in certain religious settings. And so I never wanted to be like that or seem like fake. And so that's why I was always quiet and to myself, because I felt like, even when I did speak, you know, growing up in a, you know, somewhat Christian household, you speak, you're being disrespectful, you know? And so really what it was me kind of sharing my opinions and perspectives on things, not being rude, but being like honest. And so sometimes that was recepted, sometimes people received it, sometimes my parents didn't receive it. Most times they didn't receive it. And so that's why I was very much an introvert for a large part of my childhood and teenagehood. But I feel like as I became more of a person that was out and about and realizing that I have to be more social and talk to people, deal with a lot of different personalities, because my tolerance was low too. You know, someone that grew up in a, you know, religious institution and also going to Christian schools and all of that stuff, like I just didn't have the bandwidth that other people had at that time. And also I was young, you know, so I probably wasn't mature either. So long story short, basically, is that when I knew that I had to be this like social being that's out and about, I realized one thing I want people to feel around me is I want them to feel comfortable. I don't want them to feel intimidated. I don't want them to feel like I'm stepping on thin ice. I don't want people to feel like that around me, you know, because I would feel like that around certain people. And so, and if people have a different thought than I do, I'm okay with that. I'm actually curious in how you're thinking about thinking, how your perspective is or what you're thinking. And so I think that's one thing that has gotten me far. I think, number one, it's God. I think it's just God that's gotten me far. But I also think it's me just valuing people. You know, valuing people, listening to people, having conversations with people has gotten me this far. Being curious, being wildly curious. That's another thing that I've always been. I'm actually shocked at how people are not as curious. I mean, like, don't you wonder how other people live? Like, how people live in the Appalachian Mountains, or people live in Mexico, or just how people live differently and how they are able to thrive in different spaces and settings. So I've just always been passionate about that. And so I think my wild curiosity integrated with me just being blessed enough to have the opportunities I do, integrated with me taking steps of faith and kind of like pushing fear out, has gotten me this far. I honestly think it's those things. And that's what I was experiencing from 2013 to 2017. During that time, I did a lot of internships too. So I was really writing for other people before I really started like taking off and writing for myself. I think that helped me too, kind of just build up, getting that cosign from other people like, oh, this is a great article, you know? I think manifestation helped a lot as well. Shout out to the Challenger News, one of the oldest black news, I think the oldest black newspaper